It's already that time again. It's time for a reading wrap up. I feel like I blinked and August was just gone. But hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today's a reading wrap up. I have read 10 books in the month of August, which isn't my best, but it's also not my worst. So I'm not too disappointed about it. I did also go on holiday, so I didn't read as much as I wanted to. But here are the books I did read. I had one DNF and a couple of disappointing reads, so let's just dive into it. So the first book I read was Bitten by Stephanie Jordan Gray. This Stephanie Gray. This is an arc I received from Hodder Escape, so this is set to be released in October 2025. I rated this a 3-star on Goodreads, but I think I'm more aiming towards a 2.5. There were just certain aspects of this book that I just had such difficulty looking past. This is really well written-ish. I think the world building is amazing. I really love the werewolves and how it was done. It seems, I don't read a lot of werewolves romance, but I used to when I was younger. But I've never read anything like this, and I was really intrigued by the aspect of it. And I think the characters, side characters, are really good. But if you saw my reading my August TBR with me, you'll know that I had issues with the FMC in this book. I didn't enjoy reading her inner monologues. I didn't enjoy her at all. I don't know if I'll be picking up book 2. I'm leaning towards picking up book 2 just because the last page was what I wanted. It was what I was looking for the entire book, and I don't know why it took an entire book to get there, but it is what it is. But I do think book 2 is going to be better than book 1 for me personally. The only issue I had with this is the FMC. I think this is altogether a really good YA. I do think I'm leaning more towards new adult books at the moment, so YAs don't hit as much as they used to, and that may be part of the reason why I didn't enjoy that this much. I think if you enjoy werewolf romances, if you enjoy YA, this is a book you're really going to enjoy, but for me personally it just didn't work. But with that said, I am thinking of picking up book 2 because I do think book 2 will be better than book 1, so I'm willing to give it another shot. But that's where I am with this book. The next disappointing read I read in August was The Last Storm by J.D. Linton. I am so sad that I did not enjoy this. I had such high hopes for this, and I really thought that this was going to be at least a 4-star read. I thought every aspect of this book would have been a 4-star, but the delivery of it was severely lacking, and I just couldn't look past the gaps and how many things were underdeveloped. I think that this was too rushed, and it was trying too hard to get to the next plot point or to hit the next trope, rather than developing the story as a whole and developing the characters as a whole and giving it the time that it needed to become a really good fantasy romance. So with that said, I rated this maybe a 3, but I think this is a 2. That there was too many things that took me away from the story. There were too many things that were just overall lacking, and I think if those things were revisited and if those things were properly developed, I do think this could be at least a 4-star romance. At least a 4-star. This could be at least a 4-star. I really think that the premise of this is amazing. I love the world, the characters are amazing, the plot could be potentially phenomenal, but it just wasn't done very well, and it wasn't given the time that it needed. So that's where I am with this. A book I DNF this month is Blood Mercy by Vila Roth. This was a TBR book picked out from My Little Red Cup. Unfortunately, I DNF'd at like 85 pages. It was partly due to the fact that it took me an hour to read 45 pages, which for me is just unheard of. I don't read 45 pages an hour. I read 100 pages in an hour, and if it's high fantasy, at least 80 pages in an hour. And for that was just a red flag for me. There was something that I wasn't vibing with, or it wasn't the time that I was supposed to be. It wasn't the time for me to be picking this up. I wasn't maybe in the mood for this. But I did also have an issue with the POV of the male main character. I did think that he was a bit not to my taste, let's put it that way. But I don't want to unhaul it just yet. I do want to try and give it another go and maybe see if I need to be in a mood for it, because I do really like the FMC in this, and the idea of this, the potential plot that was coming through was really intriguing, and I really want to know what this means and what she's trying to achieve, because she's very cunning, independent, but also very vulnerable, and I don't want only the male POV to be the issue I have with this book. I want to know if this is worth reading and look past the male POV, and I do think he has the potential to get better. I just think that in the beginning I wasn't vibing with what he was thinking. So this is a temporary DNF. If I don't get to it in 6 months, I am unhauling this because I need to put time scale on these things. This isn't in any particular order, but I did read Arcana Academy by Lisa Kova recently. This was my Fairy Loot book pick for August? Yes? No. September? No. This was my Fairy Loot book pick for July. Yes. For July, and I was really excited for this. I was really excited to read an Lisa Kova book. It'd been so long that I'd been wanting to pick out a book by her. I'd heard such good things, so I was really excited for this release, and I'm so happy that I did pick it up because I really am intrigued by this story. I'm really intrigued by the plot. The ending was heartbreaking and so out of left field. I did not see that coming, and I'm kind of pissed about the way this ended because the character, she did not deserve that ending at all, and I really didn't think that was going to happen, and I'm really sad about it. But this has such a unique magic system. I think tarot magic is something that's not very often done. I don't think I have very many books in my collection that has tarot style magic, and the fact that this is set in an academy setting and there are trials and you've got mysterious handsome professor headmaster who is in a secret beneficial marriage, I guess. It's not secret, but for them it's beneficial, which is supposed to be a secret marriage, and they both have their own agenda and they're trying to fight this chemistry that they have between them. And she's just so fiery and independent, and she doesn't let any of the students really affect her. She knows she has a goal that she wants to achieve, and she's willing to work hard to achieve that, and I really admire that, and I'm really obsessed, and I cannot wait for book 2, because while this was a 4-star, book 2 will be a 5-star, I think, because we've gone through the world building, we've understood the magic, and we've gotten through the first chunk of the plot. So I do think book 2 will be even better because we'll be in the midst of the plot and the characters really know each other now, and we've got this we've got all these allies and friendships that have formed. So I'm really excited for book 2. Now, Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McOwen. This was Ravenhaired Reader's book pick of the month, and I'm so happy it was because I don't think I would have picked this up if it had not been. And this, although I've picked up Ledge by Stacey McOwen and I did really enjoy it, I never picked up the rest of the series because it didn't really stick with me, and I was like, well, if the series doesn't shout to me, then I'm not going to pick it up. And there are other books that I wanted to pick up at the time. But this was insane. I was hooked from chapter 1, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm obsessed. I don't think I'll be able to put this down. And I could not put this down. I was reading 3 books at the same time, but I was definitely prioritizing this one because I really enjoyed the way this was written. I really enjoyed the world. The plot we really get from the get-go. I mean, the fact that, you know, we've got this FMC who grew up as a miner and is determined to be an artisan because that is where, you know, the wealth, that's where you become wealthy, that's where you have power, and she wants her life to be better because her life before was miserable and she hates her father. But the fact that she then becomes an artisan and she's torn between 2 worlds, and there's a rebel group forming who's an old friend, and she finds out that artisans are chosen and not born, it just, there was so much happening, and it was just so intriguing. While we also had this element of her learning her magic and forming friendships, and it was so interesting. And I really enjoy the fact that she's torn between her 2 worlds, the fact that she grew up as a miner and the fact she grew into becoming an artisan. I'm obsessed. And book 2 is going to be insane because the way that betrayal happened, I'm not okay. I am not okay. That plot twist was insane, and I literally was on the edge of my seat. I didn't want to read because I didn't want the things to happen, and I was like in denial. I was like, if I put this down, this never happens. But I did end up finishing it, and I was very upset with the way this ended. But yeah, this was a 4.5 star, this read. This was amazing. I really highly recommend this book if you are looking for something a little bit different and delicious, I'd say. In the Veins of the Drowning by Casey Cassidy. This is worth all the hype. This was insane. Me and my sister picked this to read together, and we in fact did not read this together. I read this completely by myself because I could not put it down, and I just wanted to, every page had something happening, and I was like, I can't put this down until this kind of resolves itself or action stops happening and we stop learning information, because otherwise I just cannot put this down. And it turned out to be the fact that it never stopped happening, and this had every page was a page turner and every page kept you hooked, and I'm completely obsessed with this. I love the fact that there are sirens. I mean, I don't know, I don't think I have any books with sirens in it. I could be wrong, but I do think this is at least the most recent read of sirens that I've read in years. And I love how mythical and mysterious these creatures are, and we get kind of brought into their world very slowly, and we're just like, this FMC has spent her whole life hiding who she is, and then when everything comes out, her whole world unravels, and her whole world unravels. Like, for herself, everything she thought she knew turns out not to be the case, and she has to cope with that while also trying to run away. And then she learns that all she's ever known has been used against her. So, and then she finds out that her whole life has been a lie, and you see her trying to come to terms with that, and it's not something that's done too quickly. I really hate when characters get past trauma or the way they grew up and then ends up finding out that the way they grew up was wrong, and they kind of learn this other way of living, and that they were kind of manipulated into believing away, and it's done too quickly, and it's just like, well, that's not believable. If you're brought up away and you spent your whole life believing that, it's going to take time to come out of that, and that's what's realistic, and that's what's going to keep me hooked to the book. And I like that this is that, and it's not too rushed, and I cannot wait for book 2. I want special editions of this book. I want signed copies. I want it all, because this is phenomenal. This was a 5-star read. This was this my first book of the month that I read? Yeah, I think this was my first 5-star of the month, and I should have known. That's probably why I rated this 4.5 instead of 5-star, because after reading this and having the feelings I did after reading this, nothing could really touch it. And while this was really good, it just didn't make me feel the way this made me feel. So if this convinces you to read this book, I'm very happy. I will have done my job, because this was phenomenal. I then read, or while in the midst of reading those books, read the Crowns of Nyaxia universe, and I am obsessed with the Crowns of Nyaxia universe. I just think this is such a well-developed universe, and it's so expansive, and we kind of know every corner of this world, and we're not restricted to one part or only restricted to the plot of one part of the world. We're brought into multiple parts of the world, and while there are multiple plots unfolding with a linear main plot unfolding within each of them, and I'm obsessed with how that's done. It's done so freaking well. This universe is phenomenal, and if you have not read it, I mean, what are you doing? Because this is worth your time. This is your next 5-star series. I mean, okay, so we have I do have a read along of this Crowns of Nyaxia universe that will be spoiler filled, coming out very soon. But you have the Shadowborn duet, and you're following Oriya, who is the adopted daughter of the Vampire King and has grown up a human and is looking to complete the Qajar, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the trials to become more powerful and to be able to live her life without being in fear of the vampires. And things unfold in this. So you're already in so there are 4 houses: House of Shadow, House of Night. This is the Nightborn duet. House of Night, which is this duet. House of Shadow, House of Blood, and is that it? Okay, I think there are 3 houses. There are 3 vampire houses. There may be 4, but I can only remember 3. The Night House, which is in this duet, the Nightborn duet. The Shadowborn duet, which is the next set of duologies, which is following Mishi's story. And then you have the House of Blood standalone, but you also have a House of Blood duology coming out very soon. I think book 1 has already had the title released. And then you have another novella within the House of Night. But each book ties in together so well, and when you start reading it, and I think it's when you get into the next set of duologies, you really see this other main plot line start to develop, and you're given hints within every book, and I just love it. I love how it keeps you thinking, and you have theories, and if you're interested, I have a read along not a read along. I have a reading vlog of the Crowns of Nyaxia universe coming out very soon, but I can talk about this series forever. I love every single book within the series. I think every single book is so well done, and I love how this standalone ties in so well to expanding the world and giving some insight into the House of Blood, which is so important after the Nightborn duet, because there's obviously something very important happening within the House of Blood, and this ties in so very well and kind of brings you a little bit more information while not giving away too much. And I think the Bloodborne duet, which will be coming up very soon, at least book 1, is going to give us so much more information, and we'll understand the house so much better. But you really get given the history of each house, you get given what's happening in the present, the politics, just a bit of everything, and you get given more information about Nyaxia and what she's up to. And God, in the Shadowborn duet, oh my lord, does shit go down. I mean, my jaw dropped after the first book. I could not believe that was a plot line, and yeah, no, shit just goes crazy, and I feel like there's gonna be heavy repercussions, which is gonna hit heavily in the next following books. But oh my lord. And then this novella, which I think gives us insight into one of the characters, and is just so sweet and cute and beautiful and slow, and it's small, but in the book it happens within months, and I just think it's such a heartbreaking, beautiful story, and I just love it so much. I love every single book she's ever written, and yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it forever. But these are my... no. Okay, all the books in the Crowns of Nyaxia is a 5-star, apart from Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, which is a 4.5. And the reason is that it just didn't give me that overwhelming 5-star feelings like these books did, but I still really loved it. But yeah, I think that's way more than enough yapping about this series, but I just love it so much. And I think if you really want a new series to dig your teeth into, and you really want something that's expansive and really keeps you guessing and has you thinking, this is the series for you, because it is phenomenal, and it will be your next 5-star. It will be your next 5-star series. That is enough of that. I have yapped way too freaking much about that series and about these books for only having read 10 books this month. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Please let me know what book you read in September that was an overwhelming 5-star, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.